Hello class, to summarize what we have seen from the video, let's go back to our worksheet. Okay, so I'm going to do this, so you just write it as you go along with me. So this is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. So what we have right now is, I'm going to rewrite it so it's easier to see. So I have a Cartesian coordinate system here, x and y. So I know that in the first quadrant, this is my first quadrant, second quadrant, third quadrant, fourth quadrant. In my first quadrant, all the trigo ratios are positive. Okay, in my second quadrant, only my sine is positive. Third quadrant, only cosine. Third quadrant, only tangent is positive. Okay, tangent is positive, and the last quadrant, only cosine is positive. So how you remember? You can remember it as CAST. So you can write down, you can remember it as CAST, or some people say add sugar to coffee. Okay, add sugar to coffee. Okay, so that's how you remember. All these have positive signs. Okay, let's look at the table to see what it really means. Okay, if you look at the table here, what I have is, if I am supposed to find sine 230 degrees, now 230 degrees is actually from here all the way to here. Okay, so this is actually 230 degrees. It's actually in the third quadrant. Okay, it's in the third quadrant. So in the third quadrant, what is the sign? Remember, it's CAST. So only tangent is positive. So if I have a sine, then it must be negative, because only tangent is positive in the third quadrant. So since I have a sine, so it must be negative. What is my basic angle? Yes, 230. This is 230 degrees minus 180 degrees, and that's my basic angle. So I'm going to write it in an equivalent trigo ratio, so which is sine 50 degrees. Okay, so now if you don't believe me, get a calculator. Okay, you get a calculator. You key in sine 230. Let's say sine 230. Okay, notice it's clear. Sine 230, you actually get negative 0.766. Okay, you get negative 0.766. Now, this, now you key in negative sine 50. Negative sine 50. You also get the same answer, negative 0.766. So instead of writing sine 230, I can write down sine 230 is equals to negative sine 50. I can write it in terms of its basic angle. Okay, so this is what we are writing. These two are actually the same. But instead of writing 230, I can use my basic angle. Okay, let's look at the second question. Cosine 326. Now I write down cosine 326 is actually here 326 degree. It's actually in the fourth quadrant. So I put down the fourth here. Now fourth quadrant, CAST. In the fourth quadrant, only cosine is positive. This is cosine, so it is positive. So I write down a positive. What is my basic angle? Okay, this is 360 degrees minus 300 degrees, minus 326 degrees. So I have 34 degrees. So right, in terms of basic angle, cosine 34 degrees. Why is it positive? Because it's on the fourth quadrant. It's positive. Now again, you can use the calculator to check. Cosine 3, if you want to convince yourself, cosine 326. You actually have 0.829. Okay, point something, 829. Okay, now we try cosine 34. Cosine 34. It gives you the same answer, 0.829. 90. It gives you the same answer. So this 2 cosine 326 degrees is actually equal to cosine 34 degrees. Actually, I can write down cosine 326 degree equals to cosine 34 degrees. Okay, now let's move on to the next page. Now you can write this down, quadrant. This is a diagram. Okay, I don't have the heading. I didn't put in the heading. Sine, basic angle, and then we have equivalent. Equivalent means actually it's the same. Equivalent ratio. Okay, so sine 122 degrees. Let's draw the diagram. Sine 122. Sine 122. Where is it? Yes, it's in the second quadrant. So this is sine 122 degrees. So I put down second quadrant. Okay, second quadrant, CAST. CAST. So sine is positive. So my sine is positive. What's the basic angle? 180 degrees minus 122 degrees, and that gives you 58 degrees. So what's the equivalent ratio? It's positive. Yes, positive. It's a sine. Yes, it's a sine. So basic angle is 58. So 58. Again, you can use a calculator to check. Alright, so I leave this for you to try out. Tangent, cosine, tangent, and 352. This whole page, do it for homework. Let's go on to the next page. Okay, let's look at a negative number, number 9. Let's look at number 9. Okay, before that, again, I write down diagram, sine, basic angle, and equivalent ratio. Okay. So let's look at this. This is a negative angle. So I draw negative angle. Remember, we start from here, clockwise, 110. Okay, let's go 110. It should be somewhere here. So this is 110 degrees. So which quadrant? This is first, second, third, fourth. So this is my third quadrant. Okay, third quadrant. Which one is positive? CAST. Tangent is positive, so this is cosine, so it must be negative. What's the basic angle? 180 degrees minus 110 degrees. That gives me 70 degrees, so that's the basic angle. So cosine of a negative is the same as minus cosine of the basic angle. So if you don't believe me, again, you can use a calculator. Calculate your cosine negative 110 degree. Is it the same as cosine negative of cosine 70 degrees? You should get the same answer. Okay, so I leave you to do this 2, 3, and then let's try 14, which is a pi in radian. Okay, so in radian, now this is in radian. Let's just have a mental understanding of this is in radian, right? So how do we change it to degree? Yes, remember pi equals 180 degrees. So I want to know which quadrant it lies on. So this is 5 times 180 degrees divided by 4. So that is 225. So actually this is tangent 225. So I draw 225. It is here. But of course when I write down in terms of radian. I don't write down in degree because everything is in radian. So this one is which quadrant, right? So this is my third quadrant. CAST. Third quadrant. Positive, negative. This is tangent. This is also tangent. See, both are the same. So it is positive. What's my basic angle? Remember we learned this? 5 pi over 4. Okay, this is your basic angle, isn't it? So you need to take away minus pi. So this is the same as 5 pi over 4 minus 4 pi over 4 because same denominator, and that gives me pi over 4. Okay, so positive, yes, I leave it positive, of tangent, so tangent of pi over 4. Again, you can use the calculator to check that these two values are the same, equivalent. Alright, so let me go to another question, 15. Okay, cosine 17 pi over 6. Oh, what is this 17 pi over 6? Let's make a calculation again. Pi equals 180 degrees. 17 pi over 6 equals to how many degrees? 17 pi over 6. I'm not sure. I need to do that out. Pi divided by 6. Oh, it's actually 510. It's actually 510 degrees. So it goes one round. So let's try. 510. So this is 360. 360. Then what we have? 0, 9, 18, 27, 36, 45. 450. This is 540. So it should be somewhere here. Okay, so this is 17 pi over 6. So it's in the second quadrant. So second quadrant, CAST, sign is positive. This is cosine, so it is negative. So how do I find my basic angle? Okay, it really depends on how you want to see it. Basic angles for me, I would just say that 510, right? I find basic angle. Okay, so you can see this 2 pi up to here. Okay, yeah. 360 is 2 pi. So you go all the way to here will be 3 pi, right? So 3 pi minus 17 pi over 6. So that is 18 pi minus 17 pi over 6. Pi over 6. Okay, so my basic angle is pi over 6, which is actually 30 degrees. So this is negative. So negative of cosine pi over 6. Okay, and I leave the rest for you to do for homework.